So this song, we can use our hands. So you can be a child. Now that we're here and the doors are closed, nobody will notice if you move your hands like you're an 8-year-old. This is a song that we do with our kids at the children's program in Deer Park in Plum Village. It's called Breathing In, Breathing Out. And my brother will show the hand motions. I will do it, but I have a microphone. So we'll do line by line. Breathing in, breathing out. Again. Breathing in, breathing out. I am blooming as a flower. I am blooming as a flower. I am fresh as the dew. I am fresh as the dew. I am solid as a mountain. I am solid as a mountain. I am firm as the earth. I am firm as the earth. I am free. I am free. Okay, and then the second verse is same melody, but I am water reflecting what is real and what is true. So, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. I am water. I am water, reflecting what is real, what is true. And I feel there is space. And I feel there is space deep inside of me. Deep inside of me. I am free, I am free, I am free. I am free. I am free, I am free. Okay, let's do the whole song. And this is a guided meditation. So these images, the mountain, solid, flower, fresh, it's what we practice with our breathing. We help ourselves to be really present like a flower that only lasts a few days and then will start to wither. But we're fresh like that flower, or solid as a mountain, or water reflecting, so we are aware of what's in our mind, just like we can see the surface of the water, what's reflected there. And then space, free. We have freedom from our anxiety and worries. We have space inside. So it's a meditation we practice while we're singing. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. I am blooming as a flower. I am fresh as the dew. I am solid as a mountain. I am firm as the earth. I am free. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. I am water reflecting what is real, what is true. and I feel there is space deep inside of me. I am free, I am free, I am free. Okay. So we'll start with the 3 sounds of the bell, and we invite everyone, if you like to, oh, Nancy.
We just want to welcome people into this space and introduce our new Chief Health and Wellness Officer. Good afternoon. My name is Reverend Nancy Vogele. I am the college chaplain and the director of the William Jewett Tucker Center.
And I'm Esteban Garcia. I'm the new Chief Health and Wellness Officer, and I'm a pediatric emergency medicine physician, and I've been here 2 months, so I'm excited about that. And I want to, on behalf of the Mindfulness Dartmouth Initiative, or MDI, and other many sponsors of this event, I want to take the opportunity here to welcome our staff, faculty, and alumni and students all working to promote mindfulness practices, principles throughout the extended Dartmouth community. We're so happy and honored to have you all here, and thank you for being here with us this week.
And just a few things, if you didn't coming in, if you could, as you leave, scan the QR code just to let us know you came. It takes 3 seconds, well, maybe 5. And then that will also link you to a detailed schedule so you can see more wonderful events you can be at. And if you haven't already done so, if you can make sure your phones are silenced, then that won't interrupt the beautiful talk today. Thank you so much.
So thank you. We feel very grateful that now mindfulness is really being supported here at Dartmouth. This is something that was not here when I was a student back in the 90s, and I feel very grateful that, there's a kind of caring culture that we know we need to take care of our bodies and our minds as students. So we'll start this session, which is just a kind of basic intro to mindfulness, with listening to the bell. So in our Plum Village Tradition, we practice to listen to the sound of the bell throughout the day. So we come back to our body, come back to our breathing, and stop our thinking. We tend to get lost in anxieties about the future or regrets about the past throughout our day. And the bell is there to remind us that there's just this present moment. So let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy this wonderful moment we have together, that we have this beautiful space. We have all the monastics here. This is really a legendary moment. Actually, when we look deeply, it's a beautiful moment. So we invite you to come back to your breath. So it means you bring all your attention to your breathing and let the sound of the bell penetrate your body. So not only coming in through your ear, but resonating through every cell in your body, inviting you to wake up to this present moment. Thank you. Thank you for that. So, dear friends, I'm sitting here with our monastic delegation. We've come from a few of our monasteries here in the US, so Deer Park Monastery, which is in Southern California, and Magnolia Grove Monastery, which is near Memphis in northern Mississippi. And this is our second time coming to Dartmouth. So last year it was all kind of a trial, and they didn't kick us out. They want us to come back, so you never know. But somehow there seemed to be an energy here at Dartmouth to take care of not only the minds transmitting knowledge, which it's been a long standing kind of staple of what goes on here, but actually transmitting a spiritual path as well to the students who come here, to fostering a spiritual path. And that's, I think, why we keep coming back, because we see the potential. We see so much joy and love in you, the students and the staff and faculty, and we feel that we want to support that, because wherever there's a true practice of mindfulness, we like to show up and support it. And so today the group here asked myself, and my name is Brother Stream, or Brother Phap Lu, and Sister True Practice, Sister Hoc Nim, who here, there's something keeps falling over there. I don't know what it is. To share just a short intro, what is mindfulness and how can we practice mindfulness to change our own lives and also change the lives of our communities, our families, our friends. So we call it engaged Buddhism or engaged mindfulness. So we've already been doing it. So just sitting here, singing that song, that is a practice of engaged mindfulness. Calling to our mind this image of a flower that's fresh, or a mountain that's solid, or water reflecting. Yeah. In our body, we have so much water. Right? So more like 60% of our body is water. And when we get in touch with that element of water in our body, we see that we also have the qualities of water to reflect. And the spaciousness, so that image of space. I know when I feel overwhelmed, when I was a student and I had exams or papers to write, I feel like it's impossible. There are moments where I feel kind of despair. Like, what am I doing? This is there's so many things going wrong with the world, and here I am working on this term paper. So with this practice of mindfulness, I've learned to reflect and see that despair, that sadness is coming from somewhere in my mind. It doesn't come from nowhere. And I can learn with my mindful breathing, with my awareness of my body, how to take care of that emotion. And that is really revolutionary insight when you realize that you actually have power to manage your own mind, your own emotions. You get a lot of freedom. And that's, for me, the most powerful reason why I'm actually sitting here. I continue on this path as a monk, and decided, because I think in the Career Center at Dartmouth, they don't have monk or nun on the list of potential careers, but somehow I found my own box to check off when I came out of here, and I really didn't understand my mind. So after 4 years at Dartmouth, what I realized was I was in 97, or I'm in 97, and I learned so much about the world, so much about literature, so much about human culture, but I didn't understand my own mind. Like, what is going on in this body and mind complex? And why do I suffer? Why is there so much sadness in me? Why is there the seed of depression? And it wasn't for a few years just wandering around. Luckily, I didn't get get tied down to a corporate job or something, get used to the kind of perks of having whatever, back then they call it 401k, like your retirement plan that you have 2 years after you finish college already, you're putting into it. So, because then once you get locked into those things, it's more difficult. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to take some years. I got to figure this out. I really have to understand, or at least how I'm going to go about how to understand what's going on in my mind. And that's when I discovered this path in a moment of a lot of difficulty and suffering. And for me, that moment of just sitting and generating a feeling of joy was revolutionary. It means I could generate joy in my own mind and body without it being dependent on external things. I didn't need to have, some new romantic partner, or get a special job that I wanted, or get a good result on a test or anything. That I could just, by following my breathing with mindfulness, generate joy. That's when I knew that I could actually be free in this lifetime. So that's what we'd like to transmit to you today in this session. Like, how can you do that? How can you train yourself to actually experience joy within yourself? Because we want to live in a world with free people. People who are not running their whole lives to avoid a situation of suffering. Because I found myself pretty much doing that. That when there's suffering, how can I use my intelligence to avoid that suffering? That person that makes me suffer, or that situation that makes me suffer. And then if you're not careful, you're actually charting your entire life trying to avoid those situations of suffering. And that's a pity, because actually by doing that, you're growing that seed of fear in your mind. That's what I found myself doing, that the seed of fear had grown large, like a monster inside of me. And what I needed to do actually is to stop running and just sit down and look at that monster. Stop distracting myself with the news, with movies, with music, with whatever, projects outside, and just really sit down and have tea with that monster of fear, or that monster of despair in my own mind. And without mindfulness, I don't know that I'd be ready to do it. But with this practice and developing the kind of solidity that we hope we can transmit to you today, in this session, and throughout this week with all these activities that we're doing, then I'm able to do it. And especially with the support of a community. So my brothers and sisters here, we are we live in a monastery, a few different monasteries together, but we all studied with the same teacher. His name is Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh. And you may hear when we're speaking us refer to him as Thai. So Thai in Vietnamese means a monk or teacher. And because we are all very close to our teacher, and he's a very humble monk, so he didn't like to be called like Zen master or these big teachers like high venerable monk or something like that. He just wanted to be called a monk. And so we feel that kind of closeness. And when you might hear one of us say like something like Dear Thai, or refer to him as Thai, and that's what it means. We're referring to our teacher. And I think we're all, we have a relationship with our teacher that's a little bit different from the relationship I had to my professors here at Dartmouth, and a little bit different from the kind of relationship that we're used to, at least in the West, with our professors or teachers. It's a very close relationship in the tradition of Buddhism, where a student and the teacher engage in a holistic kind of relationship, where the teacher is actually transmitting not only what they know, in fact, it's not so important what they know, they're transmitting their whole way of being, their way of walking, their way of sitting, their way of talking, their way even of thinking. so that the peace and calm of our teacher and the deep insight of our teacher can be received by the student. So that is our relationship to our teacher. I can say he's the most amazing person I've ever met. And I've spent a lot of time around him and seen him in very difficult situations. And especially in situations that would cause fear or anxiety or paranoia to come up. And I saw that he is incredibly tranquil, incredibly solid, incredibly free. And because that's the kind of freedom I want to have, so I decided to let go of life as having a career and a family and all that kind of thing, and spend my life studying with him. And that's what all of us have decided to do as well. And that is for each of us to find, right? I really encourage always people. We are here as a community to teach mindfulness. And so it gives you a little bit of a taste. How many of you are new to mindfulness completely? This is your first time. Okay, not so many, just a few of you. How many of you have practiced mindfulness for more than a year? Okay, wonderful. So this is a very different situation than maybe 20 years ago. We're finding this more and more. I mean, we couldn't even say Buddhism, or even mindfulness was sometimes scary as a word. When people would be afraid if they're practicing mindfulness, they might get fired from their job. This is like 20 years ago, because people think, oh, that's some kind of weird hocus pocus meditation thing. But now there's been a big shift, and that's a beautiful thing. I'm very, very grateful that there's this awareness that we actually can take care of our mental health. Some of us have received a difficult hand, whether it's from our environment or from our ancestors. And so mental health is a very difficult thing for us. But for a lot of us, mindfulness can offer that little bit, that missing key that helps us open the door of how to take care of our own body and mind. And so that's what we want to share about today. And you get a little taste of it, and then I encourage you to go deeper. This is just a taste. Really, to learn mindfulness, it takes a lifetime. So you can get a taste in a session, but as our teacher often said, how can we ever have too much mindfulness? The more you become aware of your body and mind, the more you are aware of this universe, this whole cosmos inside ourselves. And you want more somehow. You want to understand more, because you see that when tricky situations arise in your life, that practice of mindfulness helps you to navigate it with more, like a skilled captain of a ship. You know what to do and what not to do. You know exactly when to turn, when to lower the sails, when to raise the sails, all that kind of thing. So we're not here to say, okay, when somebody says that, you do this, or when you find yourself in that situation, you do that. That's not the role of a mindfulness teacher. We're here to help you cultivate the seed that you already have in yourselves, so that you know what to do and what not to do in whatever situation that comes up. And so that's what the title of this talk is referring to. So an introduction to mindfulness, how to practice engaged mindfulness in a complex and changing world. And it starts with this practice of mindful breathing. So we already sat and had a chance to follow our breath. Now I'd like you to see if you can keep your attention on your breath for the whole sound of the bell. Okay, so we can sit comfortably. And we when we do sitting in the monastery, you see we sit up here on these cushions. And that's to create a kind of stable posture that allows us, even if we get sleepy, we don't fall over. But for some of us, it's uncomfortable to sit with our legs crossed like this for a long time. So you can sit in a chair or whatever position. I think tomorrow afternoon you'll have a chance to come and practice total relaxation, which is a lying down meditation where you scan your body with mindfulness. It's very, very lovely. I think Brother Peace is going to offer it. So please come and check that out tomorrow. But for just starting with sitting meditation and following the breath, it's really helpful to get a stable posture. So we try to get 3 points. So our 2 knees and then our backside on the cushion. If we're sitting in a chair, you might like to sit a little bit forward in the chair so your back is not supported by the back of the chair and your feet are flat on the ground. And then you can just put your hands in your lap, however you like. You don't have to have it any particular way. Just either on your knees or they can be folded together. What's important is to let go of any tension in your body. And I like to use the image of a string that's running through our spinal cord coming out of the crown of our head. And just imagine that somebody's gently pulling up on that string. And so your whole body is just dangling from this string that's coming out of the crown of your head. Just a thin thread. So you relax your shoulders and your back is just naturally arched. When you get the hang of it, there's this kind of scaffolding that's of your spine and your shoulders, that your muscles and everything just gently hang off of. And this allows the front of your body, your belly and abdomen to just be relaxed and open. So the breath comes in and out naturally. Just like the waves on the surface of a lake. And what I'd like us to do is see if we can bring all of our attention to the breath and keep it there. So if this pen is the breath, and my finger is my attention. So on the in-breath, you keep your attention just closely anchored to the breath, like this, all the way through. And then on the out-breath, the same thing. See if you can keep it there. And notice when suddenly your attention goes off, and just gently guide it back. Maybe you go off for a few seconds, maybe for a few minutes. You get caught in a hallucination, just like AI, right? AI hallucinates, but also human beings hallucinate. So you get off on a kind of fantasy in your own thinking. And then when you notice, I'm practicing mindfulness of the breath, and you bring your attention back to the breath. You don't have to get angry at yourself. It's normal for the mind to go, it's like the Buddha said, the mind is like a monkey swinging from branch to branch. So it's very normal that you lose your attention on the breath. But if you keep returning to the breath over and over, you train a new habit. You cultivate what we call concentration. So mindfulness with concentration is a very powerful kind of habit to cultivate. You get a deep insight. So my sister will invite a sound of the bell and see if you can keep your attention on the breath the whole time from now until after the bell stops resonating. Notice when you get distracted and then just gently bring your attention back. can open your eyes. So we had the bell in the chapel and the bell in Baker Tower. Very cool. My brother at lunch was saying, my hope next year is we're going to train the entire campus to practice stopping and following their breathing when they hear the chime in Baker Tower. Could you imagine that? If all the students are crossing campus to go to class, and when they hear the chime in the tower, everyone stops and follows their breathing? Do you think it's possible? I see people nodding their head. Ezra is shaking his head no. So a lot of our lives as monastics is imagining the impossible and making it possible. And that's the beauty of mindfulness. So if you come to Deer Park or Magnolia, you will see sometimes 200, 300 people hearing the sound of the bell, all stopping together and coming back to their breath, just like we just did. Except they're walking around sometimes, and sometimes the monks and nuns are cooking in the kitchen, carrying a heavy pot. And when they hear the bell being invited to, we would call waking up the bell, before full sound of the bell, then they put down the pot, whatever they're carrying. People who are having conversations, they close their mouth, come back to a solid, stable posture with the standing, and bring all their attention to their breath. And it's a really interesting practice because usually I find myself in the middle of a totally unnecessary conversation. Like what I'm saying seems really silly when I stop and listen to the bell. And so that's kind of, it's really helpful because it helps me to see what's going on in my thinking. Like because what we talk about is what we care about, right? So when you stop like that, it's like somebody's put a mirror in front of you and you have like a bunch of ketchup on your cheek and you're suddenly like, oh my gosh, I've been walking around all day with that ketchup on my cheek. Nobody was telling me. But except it's not out here, it's in our mind. And I think I experience almost every day that kind of thing where I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been doing that? I've been thinking that? Sometimes for 10 years, 20 years, and nobody told me. So sometimes in our lives, we find ourselves in that situation. Maybe we are in our office, in our school, in our group of friends. There's some ketchup on our cheek. It means there's some kind of habit, some kind of way of thinking, maybe saying something unkind over and over again. We don't notice it. Making jokes about people that are, hurtful. Not paying attention when somebody speaks. We just start ignoring them. These are like the ketchup on our cheek. And usually we're very polite. We don't tell anybody, but we know that's happening. And then it becomes this kind of quiet thing, like nobody knows that he's got ketchup on his cheek. And I don't dare to tell him because I'm afraid he's going to get angry. And I get that all the time. So luckily I have my sisters and brothers. They remind me that I have ketchup on my cheek. I know, like, I have real, true spiritual friends because they tell me. And they're not afraid. And that's a great gift. It's rarely met in this lifetime to have spiritual friends like that. So this kind of training of mindfulness is not just about calming our mind or developing concentration. By doing that, we actually overcome our fears, the fear that we have towards each other, and we become courageous. In our tradition, we say kind of bodhisattvas. So you might have heard that term, bodhisattva. Anybody ever heard that term, bodhisattva? Yeah, it's kind of somebody who loves awakening, somebody who really wants to wake up in this lifetime. And they overcome their fears because they want to help others as well to wake up. So when you meet somebody like that, you want to stick around them a long time. Because they can be even if they say things that are very difficult to receive, you learn to stick around them because that person can show you the way. They're not afraid of your anger or your fear. That's a good spiritual friend, and I'm lucky I have many of them. And so I get reminded a lot, which is great. And that's why our practice of mindfulness is based in community, why we do this in a big group like this. Because we see that when we practice together, that we're able to recognize those qualities that make us most human and help us to cultivate those. And also notice those places where we get stuck and help us to get free, unstuck. So we start being mindful as an individual, maybe sitting meditation for a few minutes every day. But then what I learned quickly was that I can get in I was an athlete when I was at Dartmouth, I was a runner, and so I can train myself to do the meditation, day in and day out. That's fine. But when I have to interact with people, it's more difficult. But it's actually in those human interactions where I found that I learned the most. So practicing in community means you actually have a chance to have others put up a mirror and help you see what's on your face. So this is a practice of mindful breathing and looking deeply, stopping and looking deeply. So we often say there are two aspects of meditation practice: stopping, and then when we practice stopping, we practice looking deeply. And the way we learn these two practices, they are like the wings of a bird. So a bird cannot fly with one wing. You need to do that together. So it's not only about calming or stopping, right? A lot of times we practice mindfulness or meditation in order to be more calm. We want to be a more calm person. And that's great. Peace in ourselves is very helpful. But meditation is not about suppressing our emotions. So if we go on that path of only just trying to calm our mind, there could be usually there are strong emotions, and those emotions are there for a reason. They're a kind of signal that's giving us an insight into what's going on in our lives. It means what we are consuming. And if we just push it down in an effort to calm our mind, it just rebounds back. Anybody ever have that experience? You try to suppress an emotion and it comes back even stronger. It's like a bag of potato chips. You have one and then you say, okay, that's enough. I'm not going to have any more potato chips. And you keep telling yourself, no more potato chips, no more potato chips. And so you're thinking more and more about the potato chip, actually. And then suddenly, before you know it, you're sitting there with a half-empty bag of potato chips, and you're wondering, where did those potato chips go? And that's what happens when we don't bring mindfulness to the situation. So mindfulness means I eat this potato chip, I eat a second one, and I pay attention to the whole experience in my body of eating that potato chip. Like, how does it feel in my stomach? Not only in my mouth, the saltiness and the oil, but how does it feel? Like, how does my body feel afterwards? And then you start to feel like, ooh, I feel kind of like oily, kind of greasy, kind of, you know what I'm talking about? Like, you feel like not quite well. And it's not because somebody told you that eating potato chips are bad for you. It's because you actually feel in your body this kind of like, ooh. And then that's where the insight comes. So the third part, we have mindfulness, right? Mindfulness of the breath. Then that mindfulness goes to our body, to our thinking, and then concentration, which means we keep our attention on the breath, or whatever is the object of our mindfulness. And if we do that, so in the case of a potato chip, you eat the chip, and then it's like feeling it go through our body, and then being aware of the whole experience. So in meditation practice, we say that we don't only nourish ourselves with edible food, but we actually are nourishing ourselves with our sense impressions as well. So what we see, what we hear, the kind of deep aspiration we have, the deep we call volition. Maybe we have a volition, we want to make a lot of money, or we want to have a beautiful family. We want to have a really attractive, intelligent partner. We want to have kids. We want to be respected by our peers. These are the kind of volitions I had in me when I was a student at Dartmouth. That kind of, sometimes I didn't recognize. Like, I was studying things, I was doing well, but I didn't recognize what the deeper volition in my consciousness was. It's actually driving me. And it was through this practice that I started to see, oh my gosh, that volition is very powerful. I'm not aware of it, but it's driving my actions day in and day out. So I need to learn to pay attention to that and take care of that. Really see what is my deep aspiration. If I don't, then it's like I'm getting dragged by a horse. And I don't know where that horse is going. We have a story that our teacher often used to tell, which is from East Asia, from the Chinese tradition, which is there's a man standing there. And he sees a man on a horse coming in the distance. And so riding that horse very, very quickly. And so as the man comes by, he yells, he's like wondering, why is that man going so quickly on this horse? And he says, he yells out to him, he said, "Where are you going?" And the man, as he goes by, quickly he says, "Don't ask me, ask the horse." And that is very much our lives if we're not careful. There's a kind of horse, and it's dragging us along, and we have no idea where it's going. And yet we suffer along the way. So mindfulness is that aspect of stopping is essential for us then to look deeply. So not stopping meaning suppressing, but stopping our running so that we can look deeply in ourselves and see, what is my volition? How am I feeding myself every day? And the other, so there's these four kind of nutriments. So edible food, the sense impressions, that means movies, conversations, books, things that we are ingesting every day. The news, these are driving and feeding our volition and our consciousness, which is the fourth nutriment, consciousness. So all those things in our past, in our individual consciousness, in our collective consciousness, they are actually, they're like, like a buffet table. And we can be laying there in our bed and just be like, oh wow, that memory, this memory, that memory. And if we're not careful, those memories can water seeds of anger, hatred, despair. They can also water seeds of joy and happiness. But I've learned in 20 years as a practitioner of mindfulness that every thought has nourishes some kind of emotion. There's no thought that's totally neutral. And mindfulness is helping us to recognize it. So we start with the breathing, following the breath, and then we bring our mindfulness to the body, and then we learn to bring our mindfulness to our emotions and understand what is feeding those emotions, what is feeding our fear, what is feeding our anxiety. These emotions don't just come up randomly. When I was younger, I thought that, like, how can suddenly I feel so angry. Or I'm just overwhelmed by sadness, but I have no idea how it happened. Because I haven't been paying attention to my mind. I haven't noticed how I'm nourishing myself every day. So these four aspects of these four kinds of nutriments, edible foods, sense impressions, volition, and consciousness, is one of the most useful teachings that I've received as a practitioner that help me every day. So now I learn, like, that movie, I don't need to watch it. The news, somebody's going to tell me if something important is happening. Just, or that music. I have to, we go into a supermarket, I have to guard my senses because There could be a romantic love story that's really difficult to, it's going to water season my consciousness. So anyway, I'll stop there and pass to my sister because a little bit over time what I wanted to share. But this is just to give you a brief taste. So mindful breathing, these 4 nutriments. How am I nourishing my emotions? So we'll listen to a sound of the bell before we continue.
Dear friends, I'm very happy that you made it here. It's very wonderful to be here with you, and I always feel happy whenever I see people willing to learn and practice mindfulness. So this afternoon, you not only listen to the sharing, but we also create the opportunity for everyone to practice what we share and what you have heard from the sharing. Like my brother, he shared, and from time to time he also invite everyone to stop, to listen to the bell, to come back to the breathing, to be still and just to feel the in and out as we breathe in and out. So after this session, we will practice walking meditation. We will walk to the dining hall, and then we will enjoy mindful meal together. I hope that you have time to join us for those practices. Is there anyone here can't make it for the session of mindful walking and mindful meal after this? Yeah, but is it not at the dining hall? I just heard, but we will have a mindful meal together. So I would like to share briefly about the practice of mindful walking. We walk a lot, most of the time, right? So it is very beneficial if we apply the mindfulness into walking. We walk, like, it is very wonderful that we are able to walk. We are still healthy. And we have the opportunity to walk from one place to other place throughout the day. But maybe most of the time we walk and we don't know that we are walking. Our body is moving and our mind is not there with our body. Our mind is somewhere else. So in the mindful walking, it means that we walk and we are aware of our steps. Our mind is there with our body. Our mind, our breath, and our steps are one. And we move with our mindful breathing. It is so wonderful that we walk and we generate the energy of peace. We walk with our mindful breathing, and we can see the beauty around us. Our eyesight is still good. We can still hear the birds singing. Our legs are still strong. We're still healthy, and especially walking around the campus, it is so beautiful, and seeing, so many young people walking together from one place to other place, and the energy is also, I see it's very beautiful here. So make good use of the conditions that you have, like you still have good health, you able to move around, and also the campus is so spacious, so beautiful. So if we are not mindful, we are not able to recognize these wonderful conditions. We are not able to recognize that it is so wonderful to move around. Sometimes we take it for granted, but when we are mindful, we are able to recognize these happy conditions, and we feel more grateful. We feel more grateful, and we have deeper connection with life. The energy of mindfulness helps us to know what is happening within ourselves and also around us. So when we practice mindfulness throughout the day, we continue to generate, we strengthen that energy. The energy of mindfulness is a holy energy, and it is in us in a form of a seed. So when we practice bit by bit throughout the day, we strengthen this energy. We make the seed bigger, it manifests, and we can feel it, and people around us also feel this beautiful energy within us. So train yourself to make good use of the condition that you have, and wherever you walk, maybe from this classroom to other classroom, or from the parking lot into the office, or from the parking lot to the shopping mall, walk and know that you are walking. Bring your mind back to your steps. Don't let your thoughts carry you away. At the monastery, our teachers always encourage us to walk in silence. We walk only just to walk, to enjoy. And if we walk with someone, if we would like to talk, we stop. Maybe from the beginning we train that, and slowly we get used to it. We don't need to make any effort, but from the beginning we need to, keep training, and it will become a habit. We have a habit of living in forgetfulness, walking in forgetfulness, eating in forgetfulness. So now we are open to learn the new way of living, the way of living in mindfulness. We can apply the practice of mindfulness in whatever we do throughout the day. Walking, eating, whatever, reading, drinking. So when we walk like that, we just create the new habit, the habit of living in mindfulness. So maybe I will stand up and I will show you so you can see it. So we often walk with our mindful breathing. When we breathe in, we make maybe 2 or 3 steps, and we breathe out. We make our out breath normally longer than our in breath, so we can make maybe 4 steps. We just walk normally, naturally. You don't need to make any effort, but the difference is that you bring your mind back to your steps, bring your mind back to your breathing. Relax your whole body. If thoughts come up, then just notice it and bring your awareness back to your steps, to your breathing, and just walk normally and enjoy the steps, and enjoy the companies of friends around us as we walk together. So breathe in. Breathing out. We breathe in deeply and breathe out deeply. We walk when the meaningless thinkings is not in our head. It is for something else. It is spaces so that we can hear the wonders of life. We can hear, we can feel our breathing, we can hear the birds singing, we can see the beauty in the nature, like we see the smile of our fans, we see the flowers on the walking path, we see the green grass, and these are wonders of life. We bring these elements into every cell of our body. We bring the energy of peace, the energy of love, the energy of joy into every cell of our body, and this can nurture our happiness, nurture our well-being. And you can practice walking meditation, like out there, if you are not walking with the community, if you walk like maybe when you are in Walmart shopping, you can also apply the practice of walking meditation. You can walk quick. You can walk a little bit quicker. But for example, whenever if you are in a hurry, it's okay to walk fast, but also knowing that you are walking. But when you know that, you have time to walk from here to there, you are not in a hurry, give the opportunity for you to slow down and really to enjoy the steps. Walk and you feel the peace, you feel the stability. Actually, while walking, we can also rest while we walk. If we walk mindfully, our mind is here with our steps, our mind is here with our breathing. We can very well rest in every step that we make. And resting is not only when we are lying down or when we sit down doing nothing, but I find that when we walk, we can also rest very well if we walk mindfully. So dear friends, that is just a little bit about the practice of mindful walking, and I hope that you can put it in the practice, either walking on the campus or wherever you go to. So and experience it yourself to see how it is for you. Have a habit of mindful walking in your daily life. Thank you for your listening.
Deep gratitude for all of you. No words to express the gratitude, but thank you for sharing the wisdom and your presence with us all. Thank you all for coming. My name is LB White. I work over in the Student Wellness Center, and just want to let you all know that there's a ton of events this week. And as Nancy mentioned earlier, there's a QR code that you could scan that gives a nice list of all the events. And what's also really awesome, as Brother Babla mentioned, is that Dartmouth has a pretty robust and rich resource list of mindfulness-based practices that you can do throughout the year. Maybe not shared by such wise monastics, but shared by practitioners that pass on from these great traditions, these great wisdom traditions in both secular and non-secular ways. So we invite you to scan that resource code on the way out. And if you're choosing to do the walking meditation, they're going to meet in front of Rollins Chapel and depart from there. And then we hope to see you the rest of the week. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. Thank you.
So we can finish with 3 sounds of the bell. So we can take everything we've learned, mindful breathing, being aware of our body, aware of our emotions, stopping, looking deeply, and practice that with the sound of the bell. Just stop whatever we're doing in our thinking and just bring all of our attention to this present moment and see all the wonders of life within us and around us. So if we're on the cushion, we might like to uncross our legs, but we just massage them a little bit. And at the end of our sessions, we practice to offer our gratitude for the teaching that we've received. And that's a way of also respecting this beautiful practice. It's a way of respecting ourselves as well. So we will stand up in just a moment, and we join our hands in kind of like in a lotus flower, and we bow to each other, and then we'll bow in that direction, kind of. It's like we're bowing to our ancestors and all those spiritual teachers who've supported us. And then, as LB shared, we'll gather outside for, I think Brother Mindfulness will lead us in a walking meditation.